So in that dream with the tracking shot, were you not in the dream then until you were in the scene, in the bed?
Well, I assume I was the camera. I mean, I don't have any sense that I was ever a body, you know. There was no me in it.
Yeah, right. So you were the point of view that was tracking.
I was the yeah.
Yeah. So not really a camera. I mean, that's a bit of a chicken or an egg thing. Like, do dreams imitate movies, or do movies imitate dreams, or dreams were around a lot longer than movies?
Yeah.
And if I have, I mean, the closest I get to a tracking shot in a dream would probably be just that, when I'm disembodied, when I think I've come out of my body and I'm moving around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like I was telling you and Kelvin, like I've started having these experiences. It's gone on for the last few years, but I'll be laying in bed, waiting to go to sleep, and I'll suddenly see some space that used to be part of my daily life. You know, maybe a certain hallway at school or a apartment that I lived in or something. And but the point of view is always from a slightly raised, as if I was hovering above where my body would normally be, you know. So I'll just get these flashes of these images, but it's, you
Mm.
know, it's a different thing than, you know, being a person in a dream, or being a, you know, being aware of having a body, you know. And
Right. Just wondering if it, how it, how the two subjects connect together, if they do, like the sleep paralysis and out of the body. And why did you bring this up to begin with? What, again?
oh, I just thought that the dream was the voice was really literalizing that fear of the internet, you know.
Fear of the internet, right? Because the internet, as you could say, is a collective disembodiment uh, project. I was just thinking this again. I mean, I've been formulating this thesis for a while now, which is that we're being engineered. Our disembodiment is being engineered, and we're engineering it. I mean, more accurate, I suppose. Because I just read this book called The Big Picture. I think it's called The Fighting for the Future of Movies. It's just come out, so they had it at the library, and it's about, you know, what's happened with movies now and how movies and TV have switched places in more ways than one. So you know, TV now is providing epic movies like True Detective or whatever, and because with binge watching you even can watch it all in one. Obviously not Breaking Bad, but anyway, even with something like Breaking Bad, the idea is it's kind of like an epic movie, not just this endless serial like Cheers or something that goes on indefinitely until people lose interest. So while movies are becoming more and more like TV, like the latest Marvel movie is not really a sequel so much as the latest episode. And they're even, anyway, the reason I brought it up was because not just Marvel, it's almost all Disney now, because, you know, Disney owns Marvel, Pixar, and Lucasfilm. So all the Star Wars films, there's one a year now. The Marvel films, at least one a year. The Pixar, they're all coming out of Disney. It's incredible. It is like the evil empire. You know, it's going into visible form or something. Of course, it would be Disney, right? Yeah. So these franchises, the new element to them, besides that this is how they can do them every year now rather than sequels which take longer, is the cinematic universe. So, and they took that out from comics, really. Although even Tarantino played with this. Is interesting to see him as a bit of a forerunner. Like Tarantino, you know, would do a movie with this same characters as the previous movie, but it wasn't a sequel. Or the brother of a character, I think there was a brother of the Michael Madsen character in Reservoir Dogs was in
Oh,
Pulp Fiction, I think, wasn't it? Vince Vega was the
well,
brother.
yeah, they had the same last name. It was, but it was never discussed, right? It was never.
He did, yeah.
Oh, he did that. That was like part of his off-screen mythologizing of
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. So, but he probably got that from comic books too. Yeah. And so yeah, I grew up with that. I grew up when it became really overt with the Secret Wars, the Marvel Secret Wars, and then you would have crossovers, Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and the Hulk and whatever, the Avengers. You, for the latest installment of the Secret Wars, you'd go to whichever series, right? I was reading them all anyway, so it wasn't a problem. But still, there might be a slight problem with which one to read first. You have to, well, it would make it pretty easy. It would tell you which, where it came in the sequence. But still, you can see it kind of it kind of takes it to a different level where you do feel this kind of, simulated reality feeling of this is more than just it can't be contained by one comic book or one movie. I think it's exciting to people because it has this feeling that the movie is spilling over the edges of the movie itself into other movies and thereby potentially into life itself. And I think that that's one of the elements, one of the key elements in luring us into disembodiment, into the transhumanist downloading of consciousness through video games or implants or Netflix binging, or they're all kind of different ways.
So there's like a whole alternate universe that is totally immersive that you can escape into.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking that too with Wes Anderson, who I hate. Whenever I talk to his fans, the first thing they always say about why they like him is that the world of Wes Anderson is always the same from film to film, meaning there's always going to be a quirky upper class eccentric wearing a bow tie, or like these kinds of things. And I think that is part of a lot of the auteurs do kind of offer that, David Lynch has his own world, you always know you're going to get to escape into that fully immersive, different reality.
Except it's David Lynch, so here we could possibly get pulled off track here, but that was what I was referring to as that feeling of betrayal for me of Wild at Heart. Was I was expecting to enter into Blue Velvet Lynch, and it wasn't. But anyway, that could be a sidetrack. I don't want to get pulled off by that. But I mean, to bring it back to the Marvel thing, maybe referring to this, one of the things that was interesting reading about this is that, and yeah, this is very central, that part of this evolution of movies is that Hollywood and the studios, they're morphing into these internet corporations like Amazon and Netflix, and they're a totally different platform. And as an example that I'm going to use if I write about it is that Walmart, for example, back in the 2000s, Walmart would buy DVDs and sell them at a loss just to get people into Walmart. So this meant people would buy the DVDs rather than rent them. Number one, they'd actually possess them because they were so cheap. Number two, they'd go into Walmart and they'd buy other stuff. Number three, often they didn't even watch the DVDs. Apparently, they just kind of buy them just in case maybe they'd want to watch them. So,
right.
So that you can see how that's a sort of whole cult MO, right? How to lure people into the locus where the fictions are being created and the products are being sold. And this is now extending to the whole of Hollywood now at a more soft level, less literally, because corporations like Amazon and Netflix, they make movies as bait to get people to to come onto the sites and sign up. So the movies they make don't have to make money.
Right.
They just have to be good. So weirdly, Amazon is now the prime force in maintaining the art independent cinema at this point, because they've Bozos and co have decided to invest in art cinema. So Ted Hope, you know, the indie guy, he now works for Amazon. They don't give a shit about movies, let alone art movies. All they care about is the hooks that will reel people into their multinational, you know, virtual realm.
That's interesting. Yes, because they can't possibly lose money. There's sort of no amount of flirty fishing that isn't worth it, you know, isn't part of the...
Well, they could lose money if people lose interest in them as a locus, right?
As a bigger thing, yeah.
And that's, I mean, they'd have to really fuck up to do that. But one of the ways they'd fuck up is by not expanding the content. And this is, keeping it edgy. And this is actually also a microcosm for what I've been trying to map about culture itself, and why it seems as though culture will incorporate subversive artists into it. So you've got Hollywood in the 70s. What happened there? How did that happen? All these really interesting artists were suddenly allowed to make their own movies. Well, it didn't last long, did it? And so what was the effect? It wasn't to revolutionize movies. It was to inject a new, new energy into the dying industry.
Yeah.
So then you got Star Wars, Exorcist, Star Wars, Jaws, and so on. And then, within less than a decade, all of that subversive stuff was flushed out. Nobody could do it anymore. And the industry had revitalized itself, right?
Right.
So then that's what these mega corporations are doing now. They don't care about the content, but also they don't care if it's subversive, because it's not going to, it's like a mosquito on an elephant's ass kind of thing. It's not really going to change the direction of the monoculture.
Mm-hmm.
If you just give these people, a little bit of what they want, and thereby lure them into trusting the corporations that are providing it, so they'll be imbibing all the rest of the toxic stuff. Right?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's a good point.
So but the overarching thing seems to be, what content do we need to be lured into? I want to kind of phrase it so there's an us, but there isn't a them. To be lured into the architecture of illusion that is being assembled, that will allow us to completely forget that we exist as organic beings. And just immerse ourselves, eternally in an infantile or an adolescent fantasy of superpowers and, epic.
Sure. That's the big movie. Then that's the big message of the big movie.
You might like the light, but they don't like the sun. When the little people come, scatter shiny things, 'cause they're not scared of guns. When the little people come, better hide up all your pickles, better stock up on your rum. When the little people come, it won't be any fun. When the little people come, 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 when the little people come.